Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with another one of our Robotech RPG Tactics terrain building videos. This one is going to be more of the paper buildings, but I have some paper buildings from Drop Zone Commander, and those are awesome buildings. A nice cardstock comes in a box. I have a feeling that they're going to be just a little bit on the large side. Which is great for our skyscraper city battles, but they're not going to be that great for like rural one-off scenes where maybe you're out in the wilderness and you're just trying to take over a farm or something like that. So what I did was I've scoured the internet and YouTube and a lot of other things to try to find where there might be some additional buildings in the 1/85th scale. Now, I found a lot of them. I've downloaded them. I looked at them. They didn't really look that good. And some of them I looked at, I couldn't download because you had to buy them, and I wasn't going to go about buying any buildings that I didn't already know what they looked like, or, and I could go to a train shop and I can buy, micro armor buildings, or I can even buy Z scale, train buildings, or N scale, because N scale seems to be the scale that I'm going to be focusing on. But let's go take a look somewhere. As you all might or might not already know, I'm in a MechWarrior Online group, right? And we use SarnaNet quite a bit to do research canon, just learn about different things. So let's go to sarna.net. Okay, this is the BattleTech wiki. Now, as you know, BattleTech's the same scale. The miniature game of BattleTech is the same scale as Robotech RPG Tactics. It's 1/285th scale, okay, or 1/300 scale. It's all basically the same thing. Okay, so if you were in SarnaNet and you wanted to learn about anything, you could do that here. But what's pretty cool here is they've got this thing called Downloads that you can click on. Downloads. You can go down here to Media. They have cardstock downloads. What? Cardstock? They also have 3D models. But cardstock? What? They've got buildings in PDF form that you can download and print. Let's go ahead and do that on one of these. Just something simple. Let's go with an office building. I don't know if you need both of those, but let's take a look at that. I want to see what it looks like. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 sides and a top. Pretty straightforward, huh? Okay, so let's print this. Why is it black and white? Color. There we go. Color. Okay, maybe I needed to fit the page. Okay, the reason why I say that is, see, it's a beautiful looking, right, building. But if you notice right there, it cut off the back door. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the same. We're going to Control P to print this. We are going to go color. We are going to fit to page. All right, guys, so I went ahead and I printed it out, right? And you're going to have to adjust your PDF print scale, because at first I had fit to printer and it would always cut off the door on the top side, and I had adjust my settings. So what I did was I changed the scale to an 85%, and when I printed it out, it came out with both the top and the bottom door. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to the cutting table and actually cut this out. All right, guys, welcome back to our Robotech RPG Tactics terrain cutting out session, and where I found a building on Sarna and printed it out, and now we're going to go ahead and create it. Now I just want to let you know that I had a move a few months ago, and during the move I lost a lot of my materials and my cutting materials and things like that. So I went out to Hobby Lobby and found a lot of things at Hobby Lobby, but one of the things that I found that I needed to replace was my cutting mat. So I went ahead and got a cutting mat, and $9.99. And I don't know if you know, if you pay attention to the newspaper, things like that. Well, they do put out coupons every now and then, and there was a 40% off coupon that had to be used by the 5th, and so I used that. My wife actually found that for me and let me use that. And so what happened was, I can just tear this up, I'm not putting it back inside the plastic. So I got 40% off of that. So basically this thing cost me $6. $6 cutting mat. Ooh, it smells new too. Smooth. Okay. And then I went ahead and got a Pacific One, or I'm sorry, I went ahead and got a Pacific Arc ruler. Now they had a bunch, and this is a metal ruler, and there was a bunch of them. There were some 6-inch rulers, there were some 12-inch rulers, there were some rulers with cork backing so it doesn't slide. There was a bunch of different rulers there, and they had various thicknesses of the metal and things like that. Where I actually got this ruler, it's their stainless hardened. It's actually super thick, maybe 2 millimeters thick. This thing was not, you know, it's not bending. I mean, I could crank it and bend it, but I'm not going to do that. But on the back side, it gives me a bunch of scales, like what does 2 millimeters in inches equal to? What does, you know, all the way conversion tables. And I was like, that's pretty neat. Don't really need it. Pretty cool though. That ruler was only $9. This is something that my other ruler, I don't have no idea where it is. I lost it along with my cutting mat. I'm sure it's with it. I thought it was with all my RPG Tactics buildings, my Drop Zone Commander buildings, but it wasn't. Okay, now let's go ahead and cut this out. Oh wait, I don't have all my materials. I need my X-Acto knives, which I have right here, and I need my glue. Now there's something I did in the old Drop Zone Commander buildings. What I did was I cut out a square of foam board to put on the top of the building, and then I put a piece of foam board close to the bottom to kind of hold the shape of the buildings. That's a little extreme. On the smaller buildings, I don't think that's necessary. Okay, and I'm using a glue stick, less mess, less fuss. And I have an X-Acto kit here. We're going to use the large handled X-Acto knife just for control, and we're going to go into it. Let's go ahead and zoom this in so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so we got the, whoa, this thing's heavy. Nice. What I need to do is find the edges of these buildings, and now there looks like there's a tab here, and there's a tab there, and 2 tabs here, and there's no tab there or there. So let's just go ahead and cut off the tops and the bottoms and line it up. Probably line it from this side actually. And then we just take it, and this is an actual cut. That should have cut it. Now let's flip it and do the exact same thing on the other side. And that's cut. Now we're going to cut the walls here, the ones without the tabs. Okay. Cutting the other wall without the tab. Now you've probably seen me do some other buildings for from the Drop Zone Commander series. If you watched any of my other Robotech RPG Tactics videos. Now I'm only going to cut to there, so I want to make sure I see what I'm doing. Well, I almost poked my eye out. Yeah, the fold doesn't look straight, but we'll make it straight. Now I'm only going to cut up to where the fold would happen. Oh, maybe I need to cut a little bit further. There we go. And I want to just put a score across where I think the fold should happen. So a score is just taking the blade and cutting about 1/4 of the way through the paper. So really you're just dragging the blade across the paper without cutting it through. No pressure. Okay. Want to do the same on the length where the tabs are at. I just want to score it. So that we get straight folds. Score. No cut. I've already scored that. I really needed to score all the way down the building because it has to fold. I wasn't thinking. Let's score this building too. There we go. Okay. All right. Now we need to, now the hardest part is really cutting the tabs because they're at angles usually. Okay, I need to cut that. Cut the top of the building. I mean, score the top of the building and then cut the top of the wall there. Like score this part and then cut this part. Okay. Now these lines are very hard to see. Super light. But since they're only tabs, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be perfect because they're the ones that are going to be glued and underneath. Doesn't even have to be close to being perfect, you know, because these are the tabs that are, like I said, they're glued and they're underneath. I'm waiting so that I can get this whole thing like popped out. There we go. Got it out of there. Now we're just cutting off excess on the tabs. And again, the angles of those aren't really that important because, again, it's being folded underneath, and it's just that the angle of the cuts are really just to get it out of the way. So it's not, so it makes it easier when you fold it that doesn't interfere with anything else inside. And well, since we're here, let's go ahead and just cut this edge off. Okay, so before we start gluing, what you see is, you see the 2 walls, a roof. Oh wait, we need to cut that too. And then 2 walls, right, of your building. Sometimes it's good to do a little review of your work so that you can see where things you might have missed are at. Okay. Now I should have scored this, so when you fold it, it'll fold on a straight line, and it does. So that's been scored. I don't think I've scored this part, but I know I scored this and this, so let's fold that. That looks good. Let's score this. There we go. Right? Or not score it, but fold it where I scored it. Yeah, because when you score it, it makes it easy to fold. Now let's put these things straight. Fold, perfect. Straight, fold, perfect. The only thing I didn't score was right here. Yeah, I need to score that. Just dragging the knife, not even cutting. Just making it so that when you fold it, it wants to fold on a straight line. Okay, everything's folded. That's pretty awesome. Now what we need to do is apply some glue and put it together. All right, and then what we'll do is we'll touch it up when we're done. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is the 4 walls. And, well, I probably need to do the 4 walls and the roof together. Okay, let's do this roof, this side, this spare part, to this roof right here. And this glue is just like a push pop. You just screw it up and the glue comes up. And I used to have something that I did the glue on. I don't have it right here. Okay, so we're going to use the paper here. Because if I have any excess glue fall off, I don't want it to glue anything important, you know. Okay, there we go. And then we just put it in place. Make sure we apply pressure on the where the glue's going. It's basically Elmer's glue, but it's not the liquid. Okay, that's pretty good. Now let's see if we can do the other side without too much hassle. I could probably do both sides on this side. You know what? I probably should do all of them, all at the same time. This is going to be tough otherwise. It's already tough. Some people like to put the glue on both sides of where things are going to be sticking. That way you get like a better seal that way. I'm not too concerned about it so much, but let's put this together. I don't think I've got a long enough finger to get down there and press everything together. Wow, that fell together like almost perfect without any effort. Making some adjustments, adjusting the paper so the lines line up, basically. And now let's see if we can't get the bottom of this thing to line up. There we go. Because we want it to stand even, you know. The longest finger doesn't reach the top. So let's use the ruler. Hey, how about that? Some people use pencils and pens, and that's perfectly fine. Chopstick, that'll work great. I've used that before. Okay, I made the pressure up on the top, and voila! You have a building for your Battletech miniatures. You know, your 6mm guys, you know, which are about that size, driving around. And now for Battletech, I'm not going to use I'm not using it for Battletech though. I'm making it specifically for Robotech RPG Tactics. You know, nobody's gonna be a player like that, but I wish I had those mecha. I could kind of show what it would look like. But that's what it would look like on your table. I don't know, you can't see that. Okay. Alright, now once you get it finished, or I should say, once you get it to this step right here, you want to make sure that the, you might want to put a piece of cardboard in here, or something that's square, to keep the base of your building from going diamond shaped. You want it to stay square, so once it stays square, then it'll look good. But there's something you want to do. A lot of times you'll have really dark edges, and then when you cut the paper and you glue it together, you'll see the white of the paper that you printed it on kind of shining through. Luckily on this building they're gray edges, and that white doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. But what you can do is you can take a black Sharpie and you can take it and you can rub in those holes with your Sharpie, and it'll correct any white paper shining through. So I'm going to do that on the roof just to let you see what I'm talking about. Don't need to do it on the walls because they are gray. And remember to be careful. Whoops, I wasn't careful. Okay. I missed a spot right there. Okay. And what that does is, along the edges, it kind of gives you that black outline, which, for one thing, highlights the edges, but it also will hide any of the paper that would be shining through. Alright, well that was how to put together the buildings. Now, as a bonus feature to this video, what I'm talking about... Wait, where's the bonus feature? Yeah, bonus to this feature is there's a couple of different putties you can use. You know, a lot of people have been talking about the how the miniatures are going to come with mold lines, and how they're going to be, you know, there's going to be gaps in the miniatures and stuff like that. I don't think that's really going to be the case, but if it is, you always have Tamiya putty, and you also have Milliput. You can always use Milliput. This is only about $8. It should come in two different halves. What it is it's 2 sticks of putty that, and you know, just like Play-Doh or whatever, and you take very small chunk of this, you knead them together basically with your fingers. You just roll them together, and once they're put together, one's a hardening agent for the other one. So basically what happens is when they're together, they're malleable, and the blue and the yellow will turn green. So if you've got green Milliput, you know it's going to dry soon. And then you can take your little spatula or your little toothpick or whatever, and you can put it inside the cracks and crevices. Now, what I think is going to happen is, and this, you can make all kinds of things with these. People have actually made miniatures out of this, or they've made like sandbags, or you can make rocks, you can make street lights, and any other terrain feature. If you're a good sculptist, you could do that. But sandbags, super easy. You can make those out of Milliput. And when they dry like hard plastic. Okay, and then a lot of people use that on like Warhammer figures or D&D figures or anything. Okay, now the Tamiya putty's done a little bit differently. It's just basically putty in a tube. Okay, let's open this up. Yeah, you got a tube, and you just open the tube, squirt some putty out, put it in the right spot. It dries hard. It's a lot easier to use, and it's honestly, it's half price. So you get twice as much with this, so it's about the same price actually. That's just a little bit more difficult to use, and Milliput can be used for so many different applications, but it just depends on what your, what your preferences are. Go with either one of those. You go with the Milliput or you go with the Tamiya Putty. It's your choice. What I plan to do is put the models together using the back side of my X-Acto knife blade and just dragging it across the model like this. What you'll do is you'll score it, not score it. Yeah, you're scoring it. You're scoring the plastic down to a point where if there's any flash, the flash will actually be cut off by using the back side of your X-Acto knife. I'm rubbing my finger right now. I'm not cutting my finger, but like if I was to take and I would drag it across there. Now, what am I doing? I'm cutting it. You can actually see the cardboard is starting to get cut. That's what I would be doing, and that's how you do it. And when I get my models in, and I'll explain that procedure as we go. But I just wanted to let you know, you can get Milliput or you can get Tamiya Putty at, where did I get it? I got it at Hobby Lobby when I went and got my cutting board. Alright, well, thanks for coming out and checking out this video, and be sure to come out and check out any other videos that I have in the future about Robotech RPG tactics or terrain. It might help you out. And share your likes on YouTube. It helps me out a lot. Appreciate that. I'll see you on the field.